Howdy, folks. I'm the Iron Ferret,
Remember?
and here's some Reddit. Alright, folks, our first story is titled, Am I the Jerk for Organizing a Union of Girls in My College? And there is a content warning on this one. It does involve sexual assault, sexual harassment, those kinds of things, especially in the comments. Okay, I know this sounds silly, but it seriously got some people angry with me. In my college organization, it's also big on partying. It can be fun, but sadly it can also be risky. Most of my friends and I have had bad experiences. And kinda as a joke, I said to my friends one day that we should unionize, but they were 100% in on the idea. So we started a quote union. We drew up a list saying that we would collectively skip or leave any party that 1. Let in or was hosted by a person who had sexually harassed any of us or anyone else, didn't let girls mix our own drinks or pick and open their own beers, was racist, homophobic, fatphobic, and otherwise bigoted about who they let in or were respectful of the party, tried to enforce a ratio of guys to girls, if the host had a reputation for pushing freshmen or inexperienced drinkers to drink heavily. And the 6 of us stuck to it. When we would go to parties and stuff was off, we would send a group chat and just leave for another party or go to someone else's apartment. And we would also told the other girls about the party and why we were leaving, and often had lots more girls join us. The group chat grew from 7 to 36. Pretty much every girl in our social sphere was in on it or knew of it. With all of us sharing info, we ended up going to parties that were much more chill. It wasn't strict or anything. Like, if someone in the group chat said that we were leaving, it didn't mean everyone was forced to go. But most everyone would anyways, because when practically every other girl leaves. But as quick as the chat grew, word that I had organized it grew as well. First, it was a couple of guys from frats mad that their houses were no-goes for us. I told them that I don't make the decision, it's not a centralized thing. But then the school administration got involved. I was called in to talk to the guidance counselor, and she said that someone had reported that I was leading a group that ostracized people. Said that there was a list of people who, if they came to an event, that I had organized it so everyone would leave. I said there wasn't any kind of list, just a group chat where people have occasionally said that someone harassed them or a party didn't seem safe, and then people in the group chat personally decided not to go. But I'm not like coordinating things. It's just the same as when one girl tells a friends group that a guy or a frat isn't cool to drink around, and the rest of the group naturally isn't going to want to party with them anymore. She said it wasn't a group of friends. She was aware that we had called it a quote union and had rules. I said that it was literally made up of friends, and there aren't any enforced rules, it's all voluntary. I then got frustrated and asked why she thought it was appropriate to involve herself in a private conversation that happened outside of the school and campus, and then left. Am I the jerk for making that group chat? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. Go OP.
OP, you did a great service here. Like, this school has no business getting involved in this group chat. You're not an official school organization. You're a group of people who are communicating about other people. And you don't have any rules, you're not any kind of organization. So this is a private conversation. Schools do not have any kind of jurisdiction over private conversations that happen outside of campus. And it seems like the school's more worried about hurting some people's feelings and making, than people actually getting sexually assaulted and sexually harassed on campus. And that's what's wrong here. That is absolutely what's wrong here. You're not doing the wrong thing. The school is doing the wrong thing. And if more schools held people to account who did these kinds of things, then groups like yours wouldn't even be necessary. And I find it a smidge ironic that the school's so concerned about you folks, again, ostracizing people when they aren't doing their job and stopping people from getting hurt. So, plain and simple, OP, you're not a jerk, you're awesome. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, and I'd also argue that they really shouldn't be involved in whether or not students are partying with specific people. Well, like, you're all adults and you can choose whether or not to stay somewhere you don't want to be. If anything, I would encourage all the girls to stop going to parties completely if the school feels the need to referee their choices on if they feel safe or not. And OP says, right, this isn't kindergarten where the teacher can say you have to invite everyone to your birthday. Yeah, exactly. OP has prevented more sexual assaults than all the administrators that school has combined. Not the jerk. Honestly, this is infuriating. Young women are constantly told that it's their responsibility to prevent sexual assaults, but when OP and friends take steps to ensure their safety, they're reprimanded because it hurts men's feelings. Like, I know, really? Really? Speaking of hurting men's feelings, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Getting My Interviewer Fired? I'm a 27-year-old female and I went to a job interview for a potential job opportunity at this company. The interviewer, we'll call him Eddie, was 30-ish, welcomed me into his office and had me sit down. The first thing he did was look at my CV and then start asking me questions that seemed a little too personal and unrelated to the job. Like if I was in a relationship, whether my eye color was real or just lenses. Also asked about how I spend my time when alone and what types of dudes I like. Like legit personal questions. Don't know if he was testing how I would react, but I kept cool until he asked me the question above what my greatest weakness was. I responded by saying, keeping up with your inappropriate questions and answering them politely. He looked at me upset and then told me that I had an attitude, and it was clear that the interview was over. He told me that I didn't get the job, which I found a bit unfair because I don't think I deserve to lose a job over what? Nothing. I got into an argument with him and told him that I was going to report him. I went to speak to his supervisor and then filed a complaint against Eddie. The supervisor apologized to me and tried to reschedule a new interview, but I was hesitant about it. Later, I was told that Eddie got fired, which made me feel guilty. Don't. My mom and dad agreed with his questions were inappropriate, but said that I went too far by reporting him and having him fired. Eddie tried contacting me via email, saying that what I did could have been resolved between us, and even said that he could have arranged a new interview. But for me, I ruined it for myself and cost him his job. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk.
OP, you need to join a special kind of union to stop going to jobs where people act like this. I don't think you're a jerk, OP. I think that this guy was completely inappropriate. Plus, he used your CV to contact you after he was fired. Like, that's scary. That's just plain scary. This guy has your information, and now you've gotten him fired, and he's contacting you. I would keep all this as evidence and make sure to document this and report him to his former workplace again. This is a huge liability for them because now they're responsible for your information being used inappropriately. Like, that's supposed to be used for job interviews, not for him to contact you and be like, hey, we could have resolved this like adults if you would just come on in and let me continue to harass you, you know? So your parents are wrong. This is not appropriate. I don't know how else to say that. And anyone who says that you were wrong for reporting this guy, well, they can go kick rocks. That's my thoughts. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, notify the company that Eddie used your application to contact you after he was fired. That's a major security/liability for them. Keep a record of all the contact in case this guy turns out to be a stalker. And OP says, he sent me one email, but I didn't respond. I still have it in case I need it later. Who knows what might happen because he's so upset with me. He also knows my name and address, so I think I'm going to try to be careful. Agreed, if he was fired for it, there's a high chance that this wasn't his first offense. Not the jerk, if he got fired that quickly, then he was probably already on probation for similar issues. Your complaint is saving others from similar experiences. He wasn't just bothering you, he wasn't serving the company well by focusing on hiring qualified people. Furthermore, he should not have contacted you afterwards. He shouldn't still have access to your contact info, and you should let the company know that as it could be a liability issue for them. Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Leaving a Wedding Early as a Bridesmaid and Causing the Wedding to Get Charged a $500 cleanup fee? I'm a 21-year-old female named Jane. I was one of Vanessa's, a 21-year-old female's, 3 bridesmaids, and her wedding was held at a remote lodge venue up in a mountain. When everyone got to the lodge, we did a dry run of the ceremony and surveyed the place. I assumed that the men would go back to their cabin and the women would go to ours, and we would relax before the wedding. Instead, the men immediately headed to the liquor store, and the groom and the bride's mother began ordering the bridesmen to move furniture into place. That night, the women did everything from dragging 250 chairs out of the shed and setting them up to hauling furniture down 2 flights of stairs and positioning it in other places. Because I was the tallest and strongest person in the group, it was mostly on me to haul the larger pieces around, and the mother and mother-in-law of the bride largely stood around talking about details with her. I asked repeatedly if the groom and the groomsmen could be called to help, but I was told that we didn't want to bother them and that they're unwinding before the big day.
Isn't the stereotype supposed to be that men are big and strong and do the big strong things?
They're big, strong men who are big, strongly winding down. The father of the bride has a heart condition, and the father-in-law was much older and using a walking cane, so he couldn't help out either. At the end of 2 very sweaty hours, I had splinters, blisters, and was covered in sweat, but everything was finally set up. Well, during the wedding, I learned that the bride and groom were trying to avoid all of the setup and takedown fees from the venue. The groom's mother condescendingly patted me on the arm and said that everything would be okay because Jane's our workhorse. After a bit more conversation, I found out that the plan was for the bride and groom to leave, and then the bridesmaids and the groomsmen to stick around doing everything from cleaning up the trash to moving the furniture back from where we had gotten it. Towards the end of the party, almost everyone had left, and I realized that 2 of the groomsmen were so drunk that they were going to be useless, and it would again be on the bridesmaids to clean up and put all of the furniture back upstairs. I went to tell the bride goodbye. Judging from her slightly panicked expression, she said, "Oh, you're leaving? You're leaving now?" Questions. I realized that she definitely expected me to move the furniture back. But I didn't want to say anything while surrounded by people. So I left and my phone blew up as I was driving back down the mountains. The other bridesmaids were texting me and Vanessa's mother left me an angry voicemail about how I was bailing on my duties as a bridesmaid. The next day, I woke up to a massive paragraph from Vanessa that said it was my fault that they had to pay $500 cleanup fee because they weren't able to get everything back in time. So, for this, am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk.
OP, they were treating you as the main source of their labor. And, like, they didn't even make it a secret. They literally were like, "You're our workhorse." No, you're not the jerk here. These people are ridiculous. You did most of the work on the setup. You do not have to do most of the work on the tear down, right? They can go kick rocks. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk. If the wedding party is going to be doing this kind of work, you should have been asked in advance. You can't demand your wedding party do heavy labor like that because you want to be a cheapskate. You can ask, but you can't expect and demand. Especially not last minute. And the whole wedding party should have been working. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, if everyone had been doing equal parts here, then OP probably wouldn't have minded. But the fact that OP was doing most of the labor and then also told that OP, you're our workhorse, so thanks so much. Like, that's just inappropriate. Very, very inappropriate. Also, if one person's absence made it impossible for 8 people to move everything back, then 7 people aren't pulling their weight. Tell this to everyone. Yeah, why is it on OP? Why is it on OP? There were 2 guys who were passed out drunk. They should not have partied that hard before if they were going to be expected to help clean up. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I have mine. Amber has hers. It looks like water. What do you get when you cross a duck with a toothbrush? Quacked teeth. I made that one up. And you could probably tell I made that joke up because it's a terrible joke. And I Have Mega Mint tea. Tricked you, folks. You all thought I was gonna go with Earl Grey again. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see in the comments. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Friday. I hope the start of your weekend is amazing, or the start of your work week is amazing, depending on where you are in that cycle. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving me a like, and if you didn't like this video, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
The Man of Steel was taken, so all we're left with is the Iron Ferret. Ferrets are a lot like iron because they both start with FE.